20,000 people chanting your name, and he couldn't even hear that. He was so in tune into what he was doing. It was the voice in the head, dribble down here, go in here, put it up there. They're trying to stop you. Step up, be the very best you can.
Hello and welcome, everybody. Today we have another episode of the Everything is Influence podcast, where every episode we dig into the 4 levels of influence. Ultimately, what drives a human being? What is it inside of you that creates influence over yourself, your values, your standards, your discipline, your rules, how you live your own life? And then level 2 influence, how do you transfer that to other people around you? Level 3 influence, how do you do that at scale? 1-to-many influence. And level 4 influence, the highest level of influence, when you're able to influence when you're not even there. You've distilled your values into people and process that had proximity to you through your courses, through your programs, through your products, through your services. And it's with great pleasure today that I get to introduce you to one of my heroes. I remember being in my teens working out, and there was this dude on the cover of like every fitness magazine, a handsome mofo. And all my friends were like, who's this guy? And he's like, well, he must not be able to move. But no, he's like, Taekwondo master. Then he's like on all these shows and he's fast. And eventually I moved to California and I got to meet this man and work out with him. And he's just become a friend. And so without any further ado, it's my extreme pleasure to introduce you to an icon, a living legend, Mr. Mike OHearn. How are you, sir?
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Man, I am excited about today because you're going into a level of discussion that I have never been able to go into outside of that small tier of my dad or conversations with leaders. This is something I think that is, first off, good for you. Good for you on doing this and choosing this and coming up with this, because I think this is so much more beneficial, especially in my world where we workouts and nutrition, but it's so much bigger than that if you can find the root of it. So I'm excited about today. And awesome. I know you and we're friends and I know how in depth you are as an individual and how much you care. So it's again, my privilege to be here today.
Well, thanks, man. Thanks. Well, for all our listeners, we kind of, if you could let us know what you're up to in the world today and like kind of what's going on. And then we're going to reverse engineer that process, kind of how you came up and what created, because I know you've got a son now who's big, and I'm curious, like, were you that big as a boy and all that? So, but let us know what are you up to now? Like, what does your life look like? Your business? Kind of give us a snapshot of who's Mike OHearn in the world.
Sure. I'll give a scenario for the viewers and listeners that don't know who I am. I'm a 4-time Mr. Universe, a California powerlifting champion, a judo champion. I started competing by the age of 13 and 14. By 17, I was in the magazines. So I started very young in this health and fitness world. And by 20 years old, I was on the covers of the magazines. And as of today, have the most covers of any cover stories, which I love. It's not just cover stories. So the knowledge of it in the world next to Arnold Schwarzenegger. And so I've been in this for a long time. I've been training for 45 years and I love it. And that kind of catches you up to speed from bodybuilding and powerlifting and martial arts. I locked down TV shows like the original Gladiators and then brought me back for the new version of Gladiators and Battle Dome and guest spots on soap operas and TV shows. And we just finished up 6 movies this last year during
6 movies.
Amazing.
Wow.
My career keeps moving forward and stuff, but I never lose the root of my foundation of health and fitness and longevity. And so we're proud to announce that we are now in Walmart nationwide, my own line.
Walmart, selling supplements.
Individual person. So everything else is like companies and stuff like that. But Mike OHearn was asked to be in Walmart. And so that is just, I love the fact that I am for the I guess you say the everyday people. That's what I believe in. I think everybody can be health and fitness So try to bypass what I look like or size of me. I believe in longevity for every individual.
Amazing. Yeah, it's you've created quite a brand for yourself, and you were into martial arts as well. Is that right?
I was inducted in 2014 into the Masters Hall of Fame for martial arts.
Wow, it's amazing. Somebody of your size and strength and flexibility and movement and speed. Did you ever play sports like hardcore sports?
I was All-American football. I did wrestling, and at my time and my age, the football wasn't the in-depth heart passion for me, even though I was good at it. I liked putting the pressure on myself as an individual rather than a team. And so I knew that no matter what, if I put all the pressure on myself, I would succeed in life relative to something else. And
amazing.
So I went from sports
can I ask how old are you now?
I am 54.
54. Wow. Do you still do the squat thing on your birthday?
Oh yeah. We're getting ready. It's not on my birthday because now it's become such a big thing. If you don't know, I started a ceremony, I guess you would say. Every year I squat my age with 315, and I never change the weight no matter how old I get. It's continuous with the age. So 17, 18, 19, and this year I got to do 54 reps, one set, no resting, meaning no racking the weight. 54 reps with 315.
54 reps with, I thought it was 225. That's
ouch. Ouch. And you're a friend and you hit me like that.
And what's your body weight now?
290 pounds.
290. Amazing. What did you eat today so far?
So far, my girl fixed me some overnight oats, which is delicious. 50 grams of protein, 50 grams of carbohydrates. The family got a workout in this morning, bright and early at 6 a.m. Titan was in there with us.
Wow.
After that, I had a great little protein shake, my protein shake. And then we jumping on here with you to talk life.
Yeah, that's amazing. You're still at Gold's, yeah?
Still at Gold's.
How important is it for you, the environment? You were getting there 4 a.m, with your pup. You still, what time, what's your morning routine look like? What's the first thing you do when you get
My
up?
pup is still with me. Thank you.
Okay.
So my workout, I still like early. I know you said something there that seems like the surroundings of Gold's Gym. And I think when I was young and 20 years old, I needed that.
Yeah.
I needed that, be around the very, very best. But I think as time went, I dug deeper into myself to where the 4 o'clock in the morning, I could get up, do it myself. And it's much more quiet. We don't let the music come on while I lift from 4 to 6. That way I can be in my own head and not be distracted. And I like that 4 to 6 in the morning. So I'm up at 3, at the gym by 4, done training by 6, home. 7 o'clock, I'm ready to start the day. And then we're 7 days a week. We love what we do. So 7 o'clock until I pass out.
Amazing. You meditate, journal, any of that in the morning, all that stuff?
I don't journal in the morning. I journal in the afternoon. And my meditation is the weights.
Mm-hmm.
Time, the process, and me speaking to myself, I guess you would say. Somebody did a very few people do this when they, not very few, just not a lot of people talk about this. And you can talk about this too. Meditation for a lot of people, they think it is the quiet room by themselves with nothing around or no noise and stuff. And that's a lot of people meditation. I have found that I have ran into at this pinnacle level, a lot of people that find meditation in their activity they do.
Yeah.
If it's jujitsu, if it is weightlifting, if it is running, those kind of things. If it's swimming, something where, if you've ever been in a tournament fight or a fight or any kind of fight, there is a muffle to the world. Mm-hmm. It's an interesting thing. And if you can really focus on being in your own head, like when I lift, my training partners, I don't have them cheering for me or, the grunting and noise that you see on videos and stuff. I don't let that happen. Mm-hmm. I'm quiet. I like to be in my own head. And I don't really hear a lot when I'm in the set because the pressure of the weight is bearing down on you. It's a lot like fighting. You're in the fight and it's a muffled sound, even though you're in a crowd, like Michael Jordan talked about it when he was playing basketball. He didn't hear the crowd. 20,000 people chanting your name, and he couldn't even hear that. He was so in tune into what he was doing. It was the voice in the head, dribble down here, go in here, put it up there. They're trying to stop you. Step up, be the very best you can. That's the kind of meditation that I do. I know that was a long-winded thing. I'm sorry about it.
Yes, I get it.
I just thought it was so interesting that I really found that in the last few years, that the lifting is my meditation and sets me up to win for the day.
Yeah, for me, for a lot of people, things like fly fishing. So the mind can go crazy. And so when it has something repetitive to do, it's just enough to tax the mind to have something to focus on, but it's not like doing complex math. So there's this rhythm and this flow with fly fishing, or I used to get it riding a motorcycle up, a PCH, really, really nice. Going for a long drive these days too. I
just talked to somebody. Yeah. They said riding their motorcycle. It was a martial artist. And I thought he would say martial arts. And he said, no, riding his bike. Like you're saying. Yeah,
bike or motorcycle. Because if you're in a beautiful place, you feel the wind all over your body. You're connected to the earth. It's moving beneath your feet, inches away, 60, 80 miles an hour or more. And so there's this connection to the earth, these sensations, but all those begin to tune away, and you're going through curves and you can feel your body move and you become really in tune with your environment. It's really nice. Yeah, weight training can do that. When you're in it. I remember doing sets of flies by you, shorter flies like that. And you looked over me one day and you were like, "You're ready." I was pretty ripped up, and I'd done like 15 sets, just pushing through, and it's an amazing feeling. Let's reverse engineer a little bit.
Okay.
So you've come here because one of the things that I'm personally interested in, just as an athlete, and you're an extreme athlete with so much weight on your body, most people get injured and we all get little injuries, but you've been the longevity of your career and your body and your health. Is that can't be by chance. Do you stretch? Like how do you create that? Like what are these longevity secrets? You look so young, you're so healthy, and you've been so consistent without crazy injuries or breaking bones with all the weight on your body.
Yeah, I guess the two things I'll say. So again, your viewers and my viewers understand that, I guess when it comes to weightlifting, you get to that stage where they say, well, you do heavyweight or lightweight. Let me make it clear. I've never done lightweight.
Yeah.
Started lifting, it was heavy. And by the time I was 14, I won my first powerlifting meet. I've never gone light. By, I guess it was 17, 18 years old, I knew then, which I'm surprised looking back. And it's so amazing looking back at these old VHS tapes. And I go, good job, kid. It's an amazing to look back at my young self and go, good job. You had a right head at that time, which most of us, it's a rarity to be that focused at that age. But I knew then, it's almost like I was so scared of the world and that I would have to do a 9-to-5 job, that I said to myself, how can I do this style of lifting? And I'm in the magazines now. How can I turn this into something that would last a lifetime? And again, at 17, 18, everybody in the world is telling you, well, you can't do this. You could do this mid-20s to 30, but then your career is pretty much done. And I continued to try to watch and learn. I was never a question guy because I grew up with dyslexia. So every question I asked was a dumb question. So I learned very young, pay attention. Everybody tells you everything if you just pay attention to their words and their actions. And so at a young age, I just kept watching these individuals, the pros in front of me. What were they doing right? What were they doing wrong? Why couldn't they last longer? Who did longer? And then I just tried to take that information and apply it to myself. And it turned out to work. Just not on the muscle, but the skeleton and the connective tissue. The biggest change, and again, I'm going to say sounds simple. Well, your muscles are important because visually you look great. So why wouldn't you focus muscles first? And I realized that with time, the muscles will be there. And if the nutrition is right, the muscle will be there. But bone density or their bone skeleton itself was breaking down and the connective tissue was breaking down. way before the muscle. Because you've been in the gym your whole life. And you people come in and they stop lifting, not because of the muscle, but because of the bad shoulders, the lower back, the knees, the injury to the shoulder, not the injury to the bicep. People come back from bicep muscle injuries, but it's actual injury to the shoulder. And so I just carefully understood and tried to study that so much. So I just studied Walsh's law a lot and Davis' law a lot, which is the science of both connective tissue and bone density.
Connective tissue and bone density. Yeah, it's the muscles can get big, especially when guys are doing a lot of drugs. They get big and strong really quick, and then the body can't handle it. Their joints and all of that. And I got really big when I was young, and I still, got some injuries from it. And so that probably went too big, too quick, too heavy, just eating everything and not balancing everything.
The imbalance of muscle to connective tissue. So the connective tissue, like man strength, everybody will understand this. We all know that guy that did the hammer his whole career, life, construction worker, and he's got these forearms that are so big and his hands are so strong and just beefy. And it's just because he kept doing it consistent every day and kept hitting it. And so his connective tissue was really strong. And what happens in the bodybuilding world is that these guys just focus on the muscle. The muscle becomes too strong and that connective tissue can't keep up. Because remember, drugs only do the muscle. It doesn't do the connective tissue. It does the reverse to the connective tissue. It dries it out. And so now you've got a weak connective muscle. You got the strong muscle connected to a weak tendon where the damage happens. And so
how does somebody strengthen their connective tissue then?
Consistency, stress to the body, stress to the mind, which we're going to talk about, builds the mind. Keep asking questions or getting those answers and keep trying to grow the mind. But the stress to it, to learn, builds that connective tissue. Stress to the body builds the connective tissue and and that's why you see powerlifting women in 90 years old. Most 60-year-old women are sitting in a chair and it's hard to get up. But there's 90-year-old powerlifting women that are still moving and grooving and lifting. And it's a beautiful thing to see what the body is capable of. That's what I love about it. I don't want to live. I don't want to survive in life. I want to strive in life. And so if I'm given 60, 70, 80 years, whatever that is, I want to be able to move and groove that whole time. That's the ultimate goal. It's not to live to 110 if you're sitting in a chair your whole life. That's not the point. So that's
connective tissue.
Connective tissue. It's like I always say, I'll take a 170, 180 pound wrestler against a 250 pound bodybuilder. Because that wrestler has just continuously built that connective tissue, not worried about the muscle. That's why they can throw
What are your favorite supplements?
Glutamine is by far one of the greatest supplements I think that is overlooked. I am always about the recovery. You know this. When you were 20, nobody could outwork you in the gym, right? Didn't matter. It mattered how well you recovered for how hard you're working. And people miss that. They think I'll outwork everybody. Well, it doesn't matter. If you don't recover, it doesn't matter how hard you work. Glutamine is one of those things that I take before training, after training, and then I have it in water all day long and just drink it. And that way the body is always trying to recover. Because if you can recover, you can train. If you don't recover, then you're breaking yourself down even more. And that's not what you want. So that branch chain, I do a non-stim pre-workout. So I don't override my receptors. I don't want to override. It's like everybody that's watching right now. I know you guys go to the coffee, right? When you're tired and you start doing the coffee and the coffee. The one thing I wouldn't want somebody to do is if you're on the couch and you're tired, I don't want you to take a product and get so jazzed up that you want to go train, because technically you're overriding what your body wants to do. That's why I do a non-stim. That's what we did.
No stimulants, no coffee, no caffeine.
No. So it gives you enough energy to get moving, but not override your system and doesn't hurt your receptors and doesn't cause that effect of you going in the gym going, I'm Hercules, I'll do anything. It just moving, because I would rather the guy that's at 60% every day, but he gets 4 or 5 days a week. Guy that's going 100%, day in, day off, day in, day off, just up and down, up and down, up and down, that whole rebound. It's not what I am a fan of, and I don't think it's longevity. Well, I've seen it's not longevity.
Yeah. That's amazing. So non-stim, what's in this energy drink?
I'll send you guys a whole list of everything right here.
All right. Yeah. We'll put it in the show notes. That's amazing. So early Mike OHearn, though, was your father really big and active into sports and all of that?
Dad was a bodybuilder, football player. Mom was a martial artist. There's 10 of us, and I was the young one. So I got to see my sisters compete in powerlifting and bodybuilding, martial arts. I got to see my brothers doing the same thing. My brother won the Washington State powerlifting. My sister won the Washington State powerlifting. She won the Seattle and the Washington bodybuilding shows. So did my brother. And so we all competed. They always say I was basically bred for this lifestyle, and a great family. But one of the questions I think you opened up the show with, if I'm correct, is what established, I guess, learning and how I became Mike OHearn.
Yep. Yeah.
Instantly came from my dad, who was a teacher, both educated parents. Mom was a writer, University of Washington. My dad got his degree from Seattle U, and he became a teacher, and good teacher too. So I learned how they raised us and how they allowed us to lift if we wanted to, because we had this 2-story house and the boys were all downstairs, 5 boys downstairs, the 5 girls are upstairs. Set up the whole basement with weights, and we had bunk beds. He made bunk beds for all of us. And so I was just watching my older brothers lift. And as the younger brother, I'd always lift and try to last longer than them.
Yeah.
But it was one of those houses where they didn't tell you what to do. They told you there's consequences to your actions. You get in a fight, you go to jail, you do this, and so on. It's like grow, learn your responsibilities. We started working young. I had a paper route at 9 years old, which I'm still figuring out how can I teach that discipline to my son in today's day and age. So I'm going to ask that question. And I just learned at a young age that it really comes down to you watching and doing and taking responsibility for your actions.
Wow. And when did you start going into the gym? How old?
9 years old.
9 years old, working out?
9 years old, working out hard and with a good nutrition.
Where'd you grow up?
Washington, Kirkland, Washington.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So Bill Gates, Mike OHearn.
That's it. That's awesome, man. So, and then you went to school and you played football. Yeah. Played
football, All-American, wrestled. We were great in football. They even did a 30-on-30 on all the athletes in Kirkland, and which was pretty amazing to see, just all the kids that I grew up around. But school was tough. School was really, really tough because I couldn't read and write. And so I took to athletics tremendously. And the parents were very supportive of that. Obviously, they were college pushing, but they saw that I had something else. And I was lucky enough to be discovered by Joe Weider.
Yeah.
And so by the time I was at that age to make decisions on, do I go football? Do I do this? What do I do? My decision was to come to California and live that health and fitness lifestyle like Arnold Schwarzenegger was doing.
Yeah. You mentioned it was tough. What's something you do when you get stressed out, or what kind of pulls you through tough times?
The foundation of the schedule.
No.
I believe in a schedule, and I believe in schedule regardless if it's up times or down times. I believe the body, those endorphins, if you can, during the down times, you don't really do the endorphins, right? You don't want to go for the run. You don't want to go for the bike ride. You're stressed out about things and you stay in it, or at least for me. And so I know that I have to detach from whatever that stress or the down thing is. And I go to the gym and I train and that gets those endorphins going, and I stay on that foundation, and I stay on this foundation of nutrition. That way I never, because food can become such a crutch.
Yeah.
I just stay on nutrition that I normally do. And that stuff usually has pulled me through the worst times of my life. Like when I lost my mom, I went into a depression. And I learned from losing my dad to do not rush that pain, and do not try to come out of the sorrow or the, I guess you would say the depression, the sadness of losing somebody quickly, like so do. Everybody's like, okay, they lost, let me just get over this, let me move on. And I did that with my dad, and it was terrible, because when I lost my mom, it took me even further, I think, down that rabbit hole to depression, where I blamed whoever I was around for how I felt. And it was the understanding that what I was dealing with had to come from me to pull myself out of that, instead of having people pull me out of it, or just move past it. Like most, like, I guess in the old days, the men would always move past anything that's like that. We're men, go past it, that's life. So what, move on. And I didn't. And I think that was the biggest changing point in my life.
It's a lot of process.
I'm not saying this is easy, because I was down for a long time, and it was the lifting, my dog, and knowing it had to come from me in time, and not rushing it. I think the not rushing thing was an amazing thing, because I didn't put a time on it. And when I came out of that depression, and I really stepped up the level of life for me. I think my career exploded again. And so in the health and fitness world, again, people have been sick of seeing me. I've been in the magazine since the 80s.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I keep changing and getting more motivated, or more life, more energy out of the fitness world. And something about, which we'll talk about later, about how you motivate people, not purposely, but by living true to your life.
Let's explore that. How do you do that? And so that, there's this quote that Tony really instilled in me over the years, and it's life supports that what supports life. You do something for yourself, self-confident, self-respecting, taking care of yourself, supporting yourself, whatever. It's all about you. But when you show up for others, like you might have a kid, you don't want to go to work, but you show up for work because you show up for your family. And when you show up for your family, more of you shows up. And so when you can show up for your community or your mission, when you have a vision that's bigger than just yourself, it's like more of you shows up, and you expand who you are by taking more responsibility for others and being this pillar of strength for people in the fitness world and in your life. You've done that. And so what does that look like for you, like this driving force? And so another thing I want to explore with you is this, and we'll kind of answer these together. The Tony world, he teaches these 6 human needs, similar to Maslow's hierarchy, but we have like these needs for certainty, that's consistency, structure, safety, all that. But we also have kind of the opposite, this need for uncertainty, variety. With all this consistency, and you're dealing with, you're like a machine with this. How do you find variety? Is it different workouts? Like, how do you keep things fresh when you've been so consistent so long? Because I think some people, it's like that, like most people's favorite movies are dramas. And when things are going good, well, they subconsciously want to mess something up, like get injured, do something dumb, just so they, can have that come up again. That in fitness, people always say, I've lost 100 pounds, the same 10 pounds over and over again, because they just kind of do this thing. And they're addicted to, like, there's never really breaking through, going all the way up. It's like they hit like their success. And they're like, okay, I've arrived. And then they're drinking beer, staying out late, banging, doing whatever, people do. And they ruin their routines. And they're like, then it gets threshold, like, oh shit, I got to do something. They get back, and it's just kind of back and forth based on their standards. Do you always have a goal? Do you always, like, how do you keep this fresh? How do you keep things new? How do you make sure there's something driving you with people, with process, with your own self? Kind of what does that look like for you?
I expect more out of myself than anybody can ask of me.
Hmm.
First and foremost.
That drives you. Yep.
Yeah. And I will forever be that 14-year-old kid that first time I stepped on stage, scared, not sure.
Yeah.
Up against 19-year-old kids, you know.
It's a big difference.
Yeah, mostly 14. Yeah. I'm just, you know, just starting puberty and going through this. And I'm stepping on stage with these kids and I win. And the feeling I had from being scared, going, hey, I don't know if I should do this after all that work, going there and succeeding. I fight for that every single time in a new way. I want to be scared. I want to be not sure. And I want to test it. And so when it comes to goal setting or physique or age, now I've arrived in this place where nobody's ever been in the 80s and still on stage today in 2022. It's a long time. All those guys I was with back in the 80s aren't there anymore.
Yeah.
The guys I was with in the 90s aren't there anymore, or the 2000s aren't there. And so now I'm trying to figure out, okay, now let's bypass that whole health and fitness thing. What am I doing for life? What am I learning and teaching people that you don't have to be Mr. Universe, but if you exercise in a certain way, if you eat in a certain way and just stay consistent, what can you do for your lifespan? And so everything I do form-wise, how can I strengthen it? And it goes further than that. How can I take somebody who has a hurt back in their 40s or 50s and strengthen it up again to where they can move and groove again? How can I give somebody back their life? We just did this transformation. A guy, he'd been with me for a while, but he started with me at 40 years old and he's going to turn 50. At 40, if you saw the photo and compared to what he looks like now at 50, I just gave him 30 years of life. He better than he did in college. His bone density is so much better. His health is so much better. His heart, his body, and his mindset is such a difference. And it's like, wow, it's kind of cool that we just changed his whole life. And that's the kind of stuff that I think about when I lift and I set a goal. Let me try something different. Let me try nutrition different. Let me try training differently in different positions. And so those things are all those kind of little baby goals. But at the end of the day, it's the continuous. I love to get in there and test my ability and be in that fight and be scared and see what else I can do and how farther I can push this.
Yeah. Find out what you're made of.
Yeah. And
Self-discovery.
again, I don't want nobody to tell me that I can do more. I expect me the most I could possibly do.
Amazing.
Continue that pattern. And I think
Do you still train people now? Like you do in-person training and then you do like obviously the online platform, because you're getting to what we call the level 2 influence, which is basically how do you take like who you are, your values, all that, and begin to transfer that to other human beings in a way that benefits them. Like, so that's through coaching. Is it training? What are you doing there?
I have a group called the Titan Crew. Not Titan after me, because that was my character through my career and stuff, but it's Titan because they're Titans, all walks of life, all ages. And we have a group together, and it's great. I get to see people from around the world, as far as Africa, Australia, Japan, all in this group, all like-minded people that just want to get healthy. So we have this, and each week I meet with them and talk to them and set them on the right path. And I think you can appreciate this, is that everybody in the Titan Crew, there's a huge difference between an individual that just wants information, the asker, and I explain this even better than I can, but there's
my buddy, we used to call them ask holes. Ask holes. They're just a hole of just asking.
Yeah, they're going to go on Instagram and say, hey, what's the best protein to take? Well, I know nothing about you, dude. It's like, where's that sweat equity? Where's your commitment to really wanting to learn? And what's great is that my dad was a school teacher, but at the same time, his principles on how he taught 10 kids stayed with me. And it stayed with me because I did not like it as a kid because it was tough love. But I understood it by the time I was 17, 18. I understood his teaching methods, which I don't think he realized he set me up to win because of the way he taught. I wanted things handed to me because I couldn't read well. I couldn't write well. And so if I was doing homework and I needed a question answered, hey, Dad, what's this? Can't tell you. Then you'll know as much as me. And that stayed with me for a long time. It's like, well, you could just tell me the answer. It'd be easier. I'd never remember that answer. I would never remember it unless I studied it and understand really what's going on and use it as in everyday life. That then will stay with me forever. And he could have sugarcoated and said, here, son, let me just help you with your homework and guide you through this. I know this stuff backwards and forwards. Worst thing for me.
Yeah.
And so in the Titan Crew, the greatest thing about it is that there's a sweat equity. The Titan Crew is free. It's free to everybody.
Wow. As
long as you're subscribed to the training and nutrition. That's all you got to do. And it's nothing. It's very inexpensive. $7 a month. So it's like these guys can get in there, but they got to make a commitment so they know that I know they're doing the work.
Yeah.
That little bit of sweat equity, I guess you would call it, them going, okay, I'm going to sign up. I'm really going to do this. And they're in there. And then we discuss training and nutrition, and I fine tune whatever they're doing after I laid it out for them. Go. And they understand it. And they understand because they're doing the work. And you understand.
Awesome.
Because the programs that you put together, anything that you guys put together, it doesn't work unless they're doing their homework, unless they're
doing
what you teach them. And that's the great thing about the Titan Crew. These people are doing it and they're learning it and they're applying it. And then they come back and go, I now see, I now understand. And now they'll never forget it.
Yeah, that's one of the big things about creating lasting change is this concept of proximity, of ecological change, meaning that you shift your environment, and part of your environment are the people and the process or community of like-minded individuals on the same path. I want to switch gears a little bit in respect of your time. You've obviously done well in business as well. In Walmart, all of that. There's so few people. Obviously, Arnold has done pretty well in business. He's done. He used to own a significant portion of Santa Monica. His office was right there. Just down. Right by the gym, and see him around every once in a while. Amazing to see what he's done. I kind of early on, I was an actor, then I went back with Tony back and forth. And when I came back into acting, I modeled my career after a guy that was born really close to me, same year. I think we were born like 4 or 5 days apart, Greg Plitt, who I saw what he was doing. And he passed away a few years ago, of course. But he was one of the first people I saw taking like training platforms and coaching, but he built a multi-million-dollar business with, before anybody, it was like a $10 a month subscription thing for fitness and, these motivational videos. It was really cool to see somebody in fitness doing it. And you've been able to monetize as well, like with the internet, social media. You've got, how many people follow you on Instagram?
A total of all social media together, 6 million.
6 million. Do you manage that or you have a team manage that?
I got my team here.
Yep.
My team.
Okay. Yeah, it's because it's quite a bit. We're just starting it. Obviously, got this podcast now, and I never, even Tony 10 years ago. I mean, really minimal marketing. Now he's like everywhere, and they spend a lot of money. So we got to get eyeballs. Got to have penetrate the market. Got to be unique. Got to have that X factor. Otherwise, we're just copying pasting other people's stuff.
Echoes.
What's that?
Just echoes. We see so many echoes of people. They're just copying somebody else that said it.
Yeah. In the fitness world, you've been really successful in business with all that you're doing. What do you think has set you apart?
Well, to jump back, most of my success has been understanding investment and security. So with weightlifting, if you do it correctly, you can get a great foundation. And if you have set up nutrition and your training, you get a good foundation, you get to keep that for a lifetime. So most people go, well, this is great. How'd you get in shape at 50? Well, I got in shape when I was 14 and just never got out of shape. So foundation that I just kind of slowly packed on. and watching, and I had good gurus around me. I guess, I don't know what you call them, gurus or coaches, but Arnold and Joe Weider were some of the biggest guys that, would talk to me. And so I did real estate when I first got to California and put my money away into something else.
Yeah.
And so I've been able to be safe in my environment because I did a good foundation. And then I left it alone. And health and fitness will forever be my personal enjoyment. But now I can also be safe with just going, let me help people. Let me give this information away now, because it doesn't mean no good at this point. So that's why I think, because I'm giving it away and I want to give it away, instead of going, hey, I need the money. I need the money to money. I don't need the money from coaching. I don't need the money from the Titan crew. I'm fine over here, and I took care of that. Now I get to enjoy this. And I think something else that's that whole aspect of, and I know you guys agree with this, once you change, which when I came out of losing my mom and dad, I got involved in charity, and that changes you. And I know people go, oh, no, it doesn't change you. You're just going out to give something. If you do it for the right reasons, charity changes you as an individual, and you appreciate so much more what you're doing in a way of giving. And so the Titan Crew is about giving. And I think that's honestly why it's successful, because I want to give this information away. I want them to succeed. I want to enjoy their success. So I think when it comes to the fitness world, it's such could be a self-centered individual going, I want to be Mr. whatever show, and I want to be great, and I want everybody to appraise me, where that goes away when you're in your 20s, or should go away when you're in your 20s.
Yeah.
Get to the point of going, I want to be able to let others live that lifestyle healthy and enjoy it and get the information, if that makes sense to you. But
yeah, I think as you get older, it's like the phrase after what you do, it's like, so that I can, like, I want to make this money so that I can, not just so I have the money. I want to get in shape so that I can have an impact and be a pillar of inspiration for other people. So it becomes more than just about you, especially when you have kids and all of that. So, I want to keep this tight and tight.
I'm going to say something real quick before we go, because I think,
that's what I was going to ask you. A couple
Ed Millette, I know this story, but the other one is when I moved, which is so cool. I grew up with the greatest powerlifters in the world, and I didn't know they were the greatest because I was too young. I was 13, But when I moved to California, I moved into this place on Manchester in Venice. 920 was the apartment complex. You guys can go see it. It's a red brick building. And so I know
exactly where it is.
Huh?
I know exactly where it is.
You know the place.
Not too far down.
I'll surprise the fans here.
Yeah.
So I get here, and the owner of the building meets me. He's going to rent me this unit, and he goes, "Yeah, this guy, Tony Robbins, Anthony Robbins.
That's where he used to live."
And I go, "Who?" It's 1990. I had no idea, and I moved in to his apartment he just moved out of.
Wow, I had no idea.
First got to California. And it's a funny story because I know he's talked about that little place.
After he mentioned it, I went by it. I was living in Santa Monica, so I went to check out the building. I've seen it. That's why I knew exactly where it was. There's only one red big building.
There's only one.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, and I find out years later, oh my gosh, that's who they were. Not even a year later, because he was exploding in the early 90s. And I go, holy cow, I'm living in his place. And I'm like, how did he fit in this place? Because it is exactly what he talked about. It was tiny. But it was one of those learning lessons too, that I was doing things when I came from California. I saved up a certain amount of money, and I didn't go down, and I didn't buy the fancy place, and I didn't get the fancy apartment and the fancy car. I got a very below reasonable place to live. Well, I tried to be a success, even though I got instantly under contract with Weider, and I got Gladiators weeks later. It's like I still put all that away for future, knowing that I wasn't a 9-to-5 guy. And so it's those stories that I love, because I got to move into a place where somebody really lives it and loves it like him. So It's a little
that's a lucky apartment. You know, they should put that on the advertisement. They'll be selling that thing for millions. That's awesome. How cool is that? Oh, that's amazing. That's why I know exactly where that is. That's super cool. Is there anything that I've not asked you that I should have asked you about? Influence, mindset, you know, being a, you know, business, anything?
I think we kind of covered everything. Team, anything? They're saying just kind of the understanding when it comes to anything like you're doing. If you do it for the love of it, it's so much more successful.
Amazing. Yeah.
And I really truly agree with that. We love this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and we would do this for free, and I did it for free for years, but it's who we are and it's what we love. And I think that is the ultimate thing that teaches, because you did say one thing. You said, how do you know, or in your own terms, they will continue to teach us or talk about the Titan crew without me being there, because they saw how much I loved it. And they started it not because I don't think, sure, my success or how I did or what I am doing now got to a certain level, but I think it's more than that. I think it's because they want to be able to live that lifestyle. Principles I've set up. Wasn't something for me yelling and screaming on my videos. I never do that. I just talk about what I really truly believe in and love. And I think that is something that all these Titans out there around the world are picking up on and going, I can do this. And I want them to do this. And I don't want them to be like Mike OHearn. I want them to be better than I am.
That's amazing. Where can folks go to find out more about you?
Anywhere Mike OHearn.
Anywhere. Instagram,
Facebook, the internet, Mike OHearn, and you got me.
And how do folks get into this Titan community? I want to check it out myself, and I'm gonna lift heavier tonight. I'm gonna put a little more iron on the bar, and
put a little stress on the body. A little stress. Titan Crew is on Facebook. It's a private group, and everybody can get in there. Again, it's free for anybody that subscribes to the nutrition and training. And
awesome. Yeah.
To win.
We'll put it in the show notes. Mr. OHearn, it's been a pleasure. Great to reconnect and see you.
I'm going to send you some of my product. So get ready. I'm going to send some of this out to you.
Oh, wow.
Send me the address. I'm going to grab all that and send you some stuff, get you some pre-workout.
Non-stim.
That way, you just get in, get the workout in, and you're set to win.
And I'm going to be beefing up. I can't wait. I appreciate you, buddy. Awesome. Thanks so much, everybody, for listening. And till the next time, we'll see you here on the Everything is Influence podcast. Bye-bye.